Hello, welcome back to my channel and another session. Oops, I didn't take off your collar. Another session of Meet the Goats. Today's session is a little bit special. We have Emma, who has decided her beard needs to be a hot mess. Emma Leigh is her full name. Emma is what we call her. And Emma is one of the two goats that graced our farm first. I absolutely love this goat. You have no idea. She is by far one of my heart goats. I love them all, but this goat is special. So Emma, let's talk about Emma first, and then I have a couple of stories to tell you. And this is going to be a quick one because Emma's coat has already been spring groomed. So this is, the standard touch-up. We've already done her hooves because I promised I would never do that on camera again. Unless you tell me you want to, and then in which case I'll do it for you. Leave me a comment and I'll make some noise. Anyway, Emma. So Emma is 13 years old. That is very senior for a goat. It's not ancient. She's not older than dirt yet, but she's getting there. She is by far the sweetest goat on the farm. I absolutely love her personality. I love her, I have to call it kindness. That's not really the word, but she is just a friend to all. She's a midwife for every birth on the farm. She will help clean other goats' babies. She will take a first-time goat mom who's in a panic during labor, and she will sit with them and not leave their side. She helps them clean their babies, sort of teaches them what to do. She just really is that special goat. So Emma joined my farm from the founder of this breed, frankly, the owner of the registry, the person who started it all. And she, in theory, should have been a magnificent show prospect. She's gorgeous, but she's not a show prospect. Several reasons for that. The first being that her coat is a little bit more coarse than it should be. It is not as silky fine as the standard expects. And it is, from a texture perspective, when you touch it, it's a little bit wiry. Not very much so, but a little bit. And in the case of the visual standard, the standard for the breed, it should feel smooth as silk, which she doesn't. I didn't know that or understand any of that when we got her, of course, but I know it now. Emma is also perfectly conformed, right? So conformation for me is first and foremost, and that's important. So even though she may not have turned out to be a show goat, she has the conformation that we want everybody to have on the farm. She is, again, I'll call it a little bit thin from a body condition perspective. That's based on age. And, other than that, she's just got it all going on. Her coat length, when she was in her prime, did hit the floor, but she never got bangs, which is really a necessity for this breed. She has a magnificent beard, but she never got cheek muffs, or at least not ones that are noticeable. But she makes up for it in personality. So Emma, let's see, I have several of her generational progeny on the farm, and we'll go through those in order because they're just, I had to have her genetics sort of embedded in the farm. And Emma has been one of my learning goats, right? When I got goats, I didn't know what I was doing, never had goats, didn't know how to breed, didn't know what I was looking for, really couldn't identify visually, like without help, what the good and the bads were. But she gave me some beautiful, beautiful babies. She was retired from breeding rather early for the purposes of not continuing to have to do generational improvement, right? So I had kept a couple of her daughters who were better than her. And so she retired from breeding at 4. She only started breeding at 2. So, that tells you what we've got there, right? But I was focused at that point as I started my herd, as I started my program, on improvements and consistent improvements, not necessarily on breeding for pet animals or just breeding to breed. So Emma's been living the good life for a long time. She's got a lot of cashmere considering that we've done spring cleanup already. Anyway, so at the ripe old age of 9, Emma went into such a hard heat that I could not help but breed her. And what I mean by that, of course I could have not bred her, but her body, her brain, everything about her was screaming to be bred. She hadn't been bred in 5 years. She had taken up her place as the herd auntie or the herd midwife, and she was simply the best with all of the babies, all of our new goats as they joined the herd. And she seemed to be content with that until that year. Emma had given us twins a couple times over, right? So I told you she only bred for 2 years. And she was in good body condition. She was looking good. So I made the decision to give her what her brain and her body was telling her she wanted, and I exposed her to a buck. Frankly, I didn't expect the pregnancy to take, but it did. And at the ripe old age of 9, Emma gave us triplets for the first time. They were the first set of triplets ever on the farm. I've only had one other set of triplets over the years. No, sorry, 2 other sets of triplets over the years. Emma gave us the first one. Absolutely, oh my God, amazingly excited. And at 9 years old, not only did she carry those babies to term, but she also, sorry, moving the muck bucket. She also raised them, nursed them, made sure all 3 were thriving. She took care of them. There was nothing I needed to do for those babies. Absolutely amazing. Of course, at that point, there was absolutely no way I was ever breeding her again, no matter what, because that took a toll on her body. It took us probably 6 months to get her body condition back after she had put so much into nursing her babies, into raising her babies. And it's just not something I want to put an older goat through. But it was clear that she needed that. So anyway, that's Emma's story in a nutshell. She remains to this day the best midwife, the best goat auntie I could ever ask for. I don't know what we will do without her. I'm hoping that she never leaves this farm. She will eventually, unfortunately, but I know that I have her legacy here. I embrace the 13 years she spent here and however much more time we have with her. So let me talk to you a little bit about the story of how we got her. I mentioned this in the history of our farm series. So if you've seen the Walk With Me series, you've heard briefly about how we found this breed, how we ran down to buy goats, right? But I knew nothing. So the original plan when we got farm version 1.0, and if you don't know what that is, check out the history of the farm series and we'll talk about farm series 1.0 versus 2.0. But Farm 1.0, the ultimate goal was always to have goats. We had done our research a long time ago, goats versus sheep. Sheep are amazing, cute animals, but they're a little bit different types of personalities, different care level, and I just preferred the goats, period. I mean, this is a subjective thing, right? I have nothing against sheep. I love sheep, and someday maybe I'll have sheep. Probably after I retire to the next farm version 3, which I hope to be 100 acres somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That's a pipe dream and not the one that Farm Hubby shares. So shush, don't tell him anything. But at any rate, so we had researched it. We knew we wanted goats. The original plan was Nigerian dwarf goats. My neighbor in Farm 1.0 had Nigerian dwarf goats, and I had a chance to observe and learn that breed. I actually had a chance to travel with her to some shows, to sit with her while she milked, and to really understand the ins and outs of that breed. And it turned out that that was not the breed for me. I do not have the time to milk. I do not have the inclination to milk, frankly. And so that eliminated a lot of the common goats, right? Dairy goats are common goats. In a sense, not all of them, but a lot of them, right? Because that's what people want. They want goat milk. So I started to do more research into meat goats, which is the other side, right? And while all the animals on my farm are heritage animals, even fainting goats started as a type of meat goat. So they're all quote unquote edible, and that was their purpose. They really went out of style because they weren't big enough. They didn't grow fast enough. So, that's part of the reason they're on the endangered species list or on the endangered conservancy list. And so, in looking at the options in the meat category, many of those breeds are large. Not surprising. And they come with their own problems if you're looking to have longevity, because they're not intended to be long-lived, right? They're a food animal. So that sort of led me down the path of fainting goats. And, used to be a running joke between us and the neighbors that we would get fainting goats and everybody would spend their days making them faint. But never really did any heavy-duty investigation into how to get the goats, right? I sort of passively looked, right? And watching some Facebook groups, going to 4-H fairs, but never really out there actively saying, who's breeding these? And I need to buy these and find a breeder. We had goats as neighbors, and I had the opportunity to visit them anytime I wanted to. So there was really no rush to have goats. Until the day we went to the Hunterdon County 4-H fair and fell in love with these 2 miniature silky fainting goat wethers. Had never heard of the breed before. It didn't come up. Whoop. Did I pull something? I know, it's close. I know. Okay. All right. I know. All right. You're getting a little intolerant. At any rate, I need to get that one spot. I know. I'm sorry. There we go. All done. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes she takes precedent to you and to me and to everybody else. So at any rate, we fell in love with these little wethers. Didn't know anything about the breed, so rather than commit that moment, we went home. I did a ton of research. I found the founder of the breed. I found some other breeders, discovered that they were extraordinarily rare, that there were less than 1,000 of them in the world at this point. That fainting goats as a general purpose were on the conservancy list, and boom, right? Like that met everything that I needed to understand about them. We went back the next day to that fair to secure those 2 wethers. And as fate would have it, those two wethers were being sold as we walked up to them. That's a good thing for the wethers, and actually it turned out to be a really good thing for us. So wethers would have been wonderful. I told you once before when I was talking about the bucks that I wether almost all of my animals, all my bucks, because they make the best pets. The problem is we weren't really going into this to have single pets. We were going into this to start a breeding program, to start a conservancy program. So having two wethers would not have helped in any way, shape, or form. And wethers, although again, make the absolute best pets and best companion animals, they don't really work in a breeding program because they don't breed. They're castrated males. So fate had intervened and saved me from myself. And that's how I ended up reaching out to the breeder, again, who started it, Soul Oars Farm, and securing my first two does, one of which is Emma, and the other was Spring Fantasy, Fanta, who you will meet at a later date. Sent the husband to Virginia to pick him up. He drove all the way down and back in a single day on a holiday weekend. And we had our first two goats. And can I tell you that despite the fact that they may not have been the perfect show goats, despite the fact that, you know, they did not perform in the ring and, you know, I had some learning curve there, they were the best purchase I could ever have made. They were the best way to start my farm. They are, again, from a body, perfectly conformed. They needed some work on their coat and their bangs, as I learned over the years. But I really started the herd with a solid foundation of two does who were young. They were 6 months old when they joined, so it was going to be another year and a half before they could be bred. So I had a long time to really enjoy them, get to know them, and just be a part of my family. And that's the story of Emma Leigh. Emma. And Emma Leigh is not Emily, one word. It's Emma Leigh, two words. Her breeder named her. We keep the breeders' names if they name them. Just out of respect for the breeder. They took some time to come up with a name, and usually it worked out really well. Plus, I'm not very creative, so it made it easy for me. So I hope you enjoyed your time with Emma. She is the sweetest goat in the world. If you ever have a chance to know a goat like Emma, you'll just understand the way I feel about her. And she's about done and ready to go back to the herd, so we're going to let her do that. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I thank you for being a part of my community, and have a absolutely magnificent week ahead or day ahead, whatever you've got. Really would appreciate a like or a subscribe if you don't mind, and certainly comment and tell me what else you want to know about my goats as I go through them. Have a fabulous day. Bye for now.